The second most important reason that I absolutely love new construction is that you're going to find lower vacancy cost. Okay, now why do we think that we're going to see lower vacancy cost? Okay, I think this would be a great time to get a little bit of insight from the group here. We've got some of our top folks that are gunning for the book so far. I know Chris is here, and Ron has put a question in there. Why do you guys think that we would see lower vacancy cost for a new construction property versus a renovated property out there? All right, we got a couple folks chiming in here. All right, Marilyn says they feel better in a new home, right? The residents, aka tenants, I call them residents, right? The residents feel better in a new home. So what are they going to do? Are they going to stay longer? Absolutely, right? Should make sense. Laura says when people feel like it's their home, they'll stay longer. They take ownership in the home, right? If they stay longer, that means that they're probably going to take ownership in the home, probably going to treat the house a little bit better. And then Chris asked a question about home warranties. Chris, I'm going to hold on that one here just in a second. But getting back to why are we going to get lower vacancy cost? Well, it's because people are going to stay in the house longer. And vacancy cost really is the amount of money that you lose when a resident is not paying rent. So if they're in the home longer, they're going to be paying rent more consistently. You're not going to have a big of a loss. Okay? Here's the big takeaway here. The way that one thing that should make a lot of sense to you is that we are going to sign longer term leases. So if you think of nothing else as to how you can reduce vacancy costs, think long-term leases, right? If you have a brand new construction home and somebody has the opportunity to rent that, I don't know about you, but whenever I was renting homes, I never had the opportunity to move into a brand new home. I mean, that would have been shocking to me. I mean, you should have seen the things that I was renting, especially in college and other times in my life, right? They were not pretty, right? And remember looking at the home that I was sharing with you earlier. Our homes look very nice. So if you were a resident and you were thinking about renting a home in Jacksonville and you had the opportunity to rent a home that looked beautiful like that, and I told you, hey, listen, I want you to rent this home as your property manager, but we are only going to sign a 2 or a 3-year lease, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be open to that because you had this opportunity to rent a brand new home. And so that's what we do for our owners. JWB doesn't sign 1-year leases with prospective residents. We only sign 2 and 3-year leases, and new construction properties allow us to do that. And then it goes even farther than that. The way to reduce vacancy costs is to make sure that they don't leave even when their lease is up, right? We want them to renew their lease. And so we renew 70% of our leases because it's not 100% because it's a new construction home, but there's a large part of it, right? Again, put yourself in the shoes of a resident who's never even thought about being able to rent a home that's brand new construction. You're going to find that you're going to have longer stays, and longer stays mean lower vacancy costs for you out there. So let's talk a little bit about how the industry calculates this, and then we'll show you what the industry standard is and what JWB's new construction actuals are. So vacancy cost percentage is just the annual lost rent divided by the annual rental income. So what you're getting is a percentage that you're losing because you didn't collect the potential rent that you could have. And that's called vacancy cost percentage. And so the industry standard that you'll find out there, again, not many companies actually track this, so ask them to show you the data if they throw a number out there for you. But on a good day, the industry standard will tell you that 5% for vacancy cost is what they can perform at. You guys are going to be blown away when you see JWB's historical new construction vacancy cost. Do we have any guesses out there? What do you guys think our historical vacancy cost is, which is driven by data, actual data, over 473 properties from the beginning of time when JWB started selling them? What do we have? Some guesses out there. All right, we got a few here. I see 2% from Laura, 3% from Carl, 15% from Marilyn. Holy cow, 15%, Marilyn. No, I wouldn't tell you to buy from me if we had a 15% cost there. Ron says 3, Chris says 4. All right, it's actually just about Nia's guess, which is 2.09%. That's really good, guys. This is over 473 homes, about $80 million worth of real estate assets that we have tracked since the beginning of time, tracked every bit of vacancy cost. And we're at 2.09%. Okay? So all of these reasons that you guys gave as to people want to stay in new homes longer. People feel like it's their home. They are more likely to sign a long-term lease. They are more likely to renew. All this boils down into people staying in homes longer. And when that happens, you have less of a loss, which is really impactful, right? So a big deal there. And Chris says, awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. Well, I think it's pretty awesome too, but I want to break it down a little bit more because sometimes percentages don't really share the whole story, okay? So this breaking it down, assuming again that you had a monthly rent for your rental property of $1,150, take that out for an entire year, that's $13,800 of annual rents, and you calculated the difference between 5%, which is industry standard, and 2.09% of vacancy costs. What you're going to show is that you're going to put an extra $402 in your bank account. Again, what we've just talked about with lower maintenance cost is about $400 that you're going to add to your bank account, and vacancy cost about $400. We're talking about $800 of additional cash flow each year for you. Again, in an environment like we have right now, that very well may mean the difference between positive and negative cash flow. And it definitely will mean the difference between you hitting your return expectations that were set for you in the very beginning. So I hope you all get the impact that we're showing right here.